So I told y'all, man, this was going to happen. Once people saw the success of the Washington Commanders and what a new rookie quarterback and ownership and head coach and GM could do to a franchise, we would become the landing spot. For so many years, we always wanted to be Buffalo, Kansas City, New England. We always wanted to be the upper echelon, Philadelphia. Always wanted to wondered why those teams always got the good free agents and players. Well, that's because they win. And now Washington is headed into that trajectory, is the reason why this free agent is a top landing spot being Washington, and how I think it could be a match made in heaven. Let's talk about it.
How I feel? Bless. What I want?
Get back slow. I love the way she rock it. I love the way she move it, shake it on me. When she cry for him, the shawty is the winner. You can tell that shawty's no beginner. She's confident. I love the way she move it.
YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here. We have the Washington Commanders video, and in today's video, I'm coming on here with a video where we're going to be talking about the Washington Commanders being a top landing spot for this free agent pass rusher and much more. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload new videos like this to the channel. We're on the road to 8,000 subscribers, so it'd be greatly appreciated if you help me reach that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Let's get straight to it. First and foremost, y'all see down there in the corner right here, 7,870 subscribers. We're about 128 away from 8,000. So if you can help me reach that goal as soon as possible, again, if you know any Washington Commanders fans that love the team just like yourself, just like me, and would love the channel, please have them subscribe. It is one of the only media outlets that are left that are still free. You have to pay for Netflix, you have to pay for Spotify, you got to pay for Apple Music. YouTube is still free, so go ahead and subscribe. But Washington, I was doing some research and it came up a couple days ago, but it was saying that Washington was a top landing spot for Odell Beckham. That's one. But the one that really caught my eye was Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, back to Odell for a second. At this point of the season, could Odell Beckham help us? Potentially, obviously, because we have the injuries to Noah Brown. Obviously we haven't got the best production out of wide receiver two. These twos, threes, whatever you want to say, whether it's Dami, Alameda Zacchaeus, and all that. Like, we've got, games where they played solid, but could you use an upgrade? Yeah. That's why you went out and got KJ Osborne to replace Noah Brown, because he was your only really legit number two at the time. And I saw a lot of people really clamoring and banging the table for Odell Beckham. Me, even though they said Washington was a top landing spot for him, I really don't care for Odell Beckham at this point of his career. I'm fine with KJ Osborne, and I think he's going to make some noise. I think he can do some solid things starting tomorrow versus the Eagles. But at this point of Odell Beckham's career, I think he's just living off of the name. I think it's the name that's getting a lot of people excited. I'm not saying that he's completely washed or he can't offer nothing to a team, but he's nobody that you bang the table for or say, I gotta have. It's more of a, okay, let me bring him and see what he's about. Okay, if he's not all that, all right, go about your business. If he's all that, or if he's cool, you can maybe bring him on. But I like KJ Osborne. That's one. And then two, Trey Hendrickson. One of the best pass rushers in NFL, but he goes unspoken. If you want to be honest with you, no one really talks about Trey Hendrickson, and a lot of that is due to him playing in Cincinnati, especially this season. That defense of Cincinnati is historically bad. If you ask me, there's no reason with how successful that offense has been. The season that Joe Burrow is having, the season that Jamar Chase is having, there's no reason why the Cincinnati Bengals should be where they are. They should be one of the best teams in the AFC. They should be competing in that AFC North, but unfortunately, due to how piss poor that defense is, they are out of the playoffs this season. They do have a slight chance, but I'm more likely than not they're done. But Trey Hendrickson, still having a really good year, even on that bad defense. He's having an outstanding year. He is having 12 and a half sacks for 35 combined tackles and 9 assists. Then in 2023, he had 43 combined tackles, 15 assists, 17 and a half sacks. Again, 17 and a half sacks, man. Like, when have we ever seen that out of somebody? Then in 2022, and when I say somebody, I mean in Washington in recent memory. 2022, he had 8 sacks. In 2021, his first year with Cincinnati, he had 14 and a half sacks. So even at his worst, he's having 8 sacks. The season before that in New Orleans in 2019, or in 2020 rather, 13 and a half sacks. So this guy is a sack machine. Okay? Our guy, Dante Fowler, who's having an outstanding year, okay, has about 9 and a half sacks, okay? Could you imagine re-signing Tay Fowler, who, watch his mic'd up if you haven't, because I ain't know Tay Fowler was coming like that, Slim. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't know Tay Fowler was that kind of guy to talk like that and, you know, drag how he was dragging. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I kind of forget that these football players really come from the same backgrounds as these rappers, but they just took the different path. Cause Tay Fowler he really talked that talk, and he was backing it up too. But Tay Fowler, right? He's having a good year. Don't get me wrong, but you can't tell me you wouldn't want Trey Hendrickson right now. Outside of Dante Fowler, there's no one really else on the exterior that's getting consistent pass rush. We're rushing as a group, don't get me wrong, okay? Obviously, Dorrance Armstrong, Cleveland Ferrell, everybody that's coming in together as a group, but we don't. Even Dante Fowler to a certain degree doesn't even have that one-on-one consistent win ability. He's having a hell of a year, though. Don't get me wrong. 8.5. This is the most sacks that he's had since 2019 with the Rams. Dante Fowler's a dog. But he's the only guy that's really been doing consistent numbers. So imagine re-signing Tay Fowler, maybe because he is 30 years old. So imagine just re-signing him to maybe a 2-year deal, something small. Still going to pay him because he's having a hell of a year. 2-year deal. And then you bring in Trey Hendrickson to pair that up. Oh, man, oh, man. Then you got second-year Johnny Newton, right? Second-year Johnny Newton in the middle. Maybe you re-sign Jonathan Allen if he can come back down the stretch when it's healthy. And he could be better. Off of the partially torn pec. Maybe he does enough for the last couple games into the postseason to where you're like, all right, maybe we hang on to J.A., and you still obviously got Deron Payne for 2 more years. So, Trey Hendrickson, he is definitely going to be a guy on the lookout for, because technically he isn't necessarily going to be a free agent after this season, but he is a guy that could potentially be on the move if they decide to trade him, if they decide to cut him. But as far as another guy that also piqued my interest was Garrett Wilson, as he's a guy that is frustrated with how the New York Jets has been operating the last couple of seasons and how he is potentially looking to get traded. Now, obviously, it's nothing guaranteed. Obviously, Garrett Wilson is still going to be under contract after this season with the Jets. But given the fact that he's frustrated, he set out in a recent post-game interview where he said he doesn't know about his future with the New York Jets. Like, he said, I don't know. Then he went on to say that he likes playing for the New York Jets. He loves it here. But then he says he started off the season with sitting with, I don't know about my future. But you can clearly see he's upset. You can clearly see that he wants the ball. You can clearly see that he wants to have success. So, 2 of the biggest moves that Washington needs to address this offseason is wide receiver 2 and edge rusher. You got 2 stars that are right there for the taking, or at least show some type of interest, right? Obviously, because look, I know everybody wants T. Higgins. That is going to be the prized possession. But let me tell you, only one team can get T. Higgins. Like, you got to open up your options to other possibilities, okay? How about Garrett Wilson? Yeah, you may have to give up some draft capital, and I know Adam Peters isn't necessarily that fond of that. He loves his draft picks, but it's Garrett Wilson. It's a first-round talent. We know how talented he is as a route runner. I don't know if he was there at Ohio State at the same time as Terry, but you bring in another Ohio State guy. You got 3 Ohio State guys in that wide receiver room, and Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, Noah Brown. He's a great route runner. He just hasn't had the success, and the Jets just haven't had the success as a team, and he's tired of it. He's frustrated, and you can see it on the sideline. You can see it on the clips that are going around the internet. So it's crazy how talented this team could be next offseason. Like, we have arrived so early that I think a lot of people forget this is the worst we're going to be. Could you imagine next year with Trey Hendrickson? Again, he's under contract in 2025, but we are co-favorites to land him next season, whether that's him getting cut because he's owed $15 million. If you ask me, if I'm Cincinnati, he's worth that. 12.5 sacks on a defense that's piss poor, but he is 30 years old. And if they get rid of if they cut him after this season, or if they trade him after this season, they get rid of that contract, right? Because he's owed 4 years, and he's owed he signed a one year contract for $21 million with the Cincinnati Bengals, including $8 million signing bonus. So I'm actually reading that a little bit wrong here. In 2025, he has an opportunity to get out of the contract that he's currently in if he wants to be traded, or if he ends up leaving the Cincinnati Bengals, because he's an undrafted, or excuse me, he's an unrestricted free agent in 2025. So it's a possibility, right? It's not guaranteed, obviously, but it's a possibility that Washington can land this star of a pass rusher. So we'll see. But yeah, man, Washington being a top landing spot for a guy like Trey Hendrickson, whether it's via trade, via free agency, because he is an undrafted free agent, or excuse me, he's an unrestricted free agent next season. It's very, very possible. And this team could be turned around and be Super Bowl contenders next season. Like, we're 9-5 right now. I think we're gonna beat the Eagles tomorrow, so I think we'll be 10-5. But obviously we're nowhere near as talented as other teams, so I don't expect us to win the Super Bowl. I don't expect us to really make a deep playoff run because we have missing holes. But next season, if you land a guy like T. Higgins, if you land a guy like Garrett Wilson, if you land a guy like Trey Hendrickson, if you land, in my opinion, some veterans, Chris Godwin, Stephon Diggs, I would love those guys. Keenan Allen, even though Keenan Allen said he only wants to go back to LA or Chicago, Keenan Allen still produced. Like, veterans are great. We've seen how successful the veterans on this season how successful they've been and how much they've meant to this locker room. Bobby Wagner, Marcus Mariota, just to name a few. Like, these veterans have been such a refreshment. I hope we continue that trend next offseason. But just wanted to come here quickly to drop that on you guys' melon. Trey Hendrickson, co-favorites to land him next season, whether it's free agency, whether it's trading, whether it's whatever. Washington is up in that discussion. And I'm also looking my eyes over at New York Jets. Like, hey, y'all want to move Garrett Wilson? Garrett Wilson may request a trade. It's articles out there that say he may request a trade. And then he came on and said he doesn't know his future with the New York Jets. So, hey, let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section down below. As always, be your boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I want to roll to 8,000 subscribers. I would greatly appreciate it if you haven't reached that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. See you later. Peace.